Here is a summary of what you missed in November's new canon editions for the comics. I'll also be releasing my 5 favorite new canon editions for November later. In the future, I'd like to do new canon every week so we don't have super long videos like this. As well, because there's so much material, usually I'm in front of the camera for Star Wars videos, for this one I'm not. Alright, in the main title of Star Wars, we had issue number 11 and 12 in November. In it, we were dealing with Luke Skywalker's quest to learn the ways of the Jedi, which brought him to the infamous moon of Nar Shaddaa, where his lightsaber made him a quick target for the Jedi artifact collector, Gracchus the Hutt. Luke then becomes a prisoner of him, and the Hutt takes Obi-Wan's journal Luke kept on his ship. Meanwhile, Sana Solo, a woman claiming to be Han's wife, rescues Han Solo and Princess Leia from the Imperials. Leia then receives a distress call from the Rebel fleet informing them of Luke's predicament. While they head to the moon, Han tries to explain that Sana isn't his wife. He pretended to marry her as part of a scheme to get back at a crime lord who had been double-crossing spice smugglers. Han put together a team, but they needed to stage an event to cover the break-in and decided on a wedding. Unfortunately, Leia wasn't listening. But luckily for Luke, C-3PO and Chewbacca have already arrived on the smuggler's moon in search of Luke. However, a new bounty hunter was on the tail of Chewbacca, hoping to find Han Solo, and he ends up sneak attacking Chewie. In the fight between the bounty hunter and Chewbacca, the bounty hunter shockbolts Chewie. C-3PO, feeling he owes Chewie for saving him earlier, takes the shockbolt off of Chewie and short-circuits himself, allowing Chewie to get back up and fight, which I thought was a big moment for C-3PO. And then Chewie begins to just wail on the bounty hunter. At one point, the bounty hunter begins to get the upper hand, grabs Chewie, and asks where Han Solo is. Just in the nick of time, Leia, Sana, and Han show up. Han fires into the bounty hunter's back, replying, "Right here, ugly. Now get your damn hands off my friend." And Leia, during this confrontation with the bounty hunter, is still being a little passive-aggressive about Han having a wife. They eventually take care of the bounty hunter and head out to find Luke. Meanwhile, Luke is given a lightsaber that isn't his and put into an arena to fight Congo the Disemboweler. And Congo is kicking Luke's ass. Luke asks for a miracle, and lucky for him, Congo's shock collar is triggered. Turns out the Game Master was an Imperial spy planted to watch Gracchus the Hutt, and a raid by the Empire begins. Unfortunately, the Hutt sets off a localized EMP, making blasters and comms useless, also short-circuiting Congo's collar. R2-D2, being the crafty droid he is, went to where all the Jedi artifacts are being kept and grabs a bunch of lightsabers. As the Imperials struggle to capture Luke, R2-D2 shoots him his lightsaber. Here's what I think is the best part. Leia, Han, Chewie, and Sana head to the arena to help Luke, but find a crowd running out and realize their blasters aren't working. They see Congo coming at them. Then R2 shoots out lightsabers to all of them. Han's response is awesome. "Great, next some old wizard will be telling me to use the Force." Leia remarks, "Always wanted to try one of these." "Just look at this shot and tell me you don't smile. Then I'll call you a liar." They begin to fight with their lightsabers. Luke faces off against a lightsaber-wielding Game Master. Apparently everyone gets a lightsaber in this issue. He reveals that he's a stormtrooper, and a cell on a Star Destroyer is waiting for Luke. The Game Master is about to take Luke in when the Hutt chooses this moment to get revenge on the Game Master for betraying him. The Game Master takes care of the Hutt, but Luke has already found his friends and is back to back with Han Solo. Luke remarks, "This saber doesn't look half bad on you, Han." Han responds, "I'm just trying not to cut off my own face. Good to see you still in one piece, Luke." Reinforcements come and they decide to bail. Well, Han and Chewie do. Luke wants to stay and get the Jedi artifacts the Hutt had collected, but he gets carried off. Leia ends up saving Sana, and Sana admits to Leia that she really isn't Han's wife. The marriage was a scam, part of a robbery. Han took off with her cut, and she had been looking for him ever since. A kind of cute comment, Sana says, "Things are definitely never boring when you're around, Princess. I'm starting to see what he likes about..." Leia cuts her off. Less talking, more running. Lastly, we see Vader asking the Game Master to tell him all about the boy. Next up, we saw Chewbacca number 3 and 4 in November. Chewie accidentally crash lands his ship on an outer rim planet, Bantam 4, and runs into a girl named Zaro. Turns out an opportunistic gangster named Jom has taken over Bantam 4, enslaving the people, including Zaro's father, and he's selling natural resources to the dreaded Galactic Empire. Zaro plans a distraction and allows herself to be captured by Jom's men, so that Chewie can rescue her father and the other prisoners. After what seemed like a successful run, Chewie stayed behind in the caverns to ensure the prisoners' safe escape, only to find himself caught in an explosive trap set by Jom himself. Chewie and the workers end up caught in the planet's deep caverns but manage to escape. Zaro and Chewie then head to the spaceport to get outside help and get the Imperials off her planet. They manage to plant a droid filled with explosives on Jom's ship, and hope it won't go off until he's docked in the Star Destroyer above the planet. Unfortunately, Chewie and Zaro are captured by stormtroopers who plan on taking them to the Star Destroyer immediately to be interrogated. We have one more issue of Chewbacca where we should see this all resolved. Next, in November, Darth Vader 12 and 13 was released. Darth Vader has been searching for the Force-strong rebel responsible for the Death Star destruction. He also recently learned that Luke is a Skywalker and his son. Vader, along with Inspector Thanoth, located the Ante, an information broker he suspects has crucial knowledge regarding stolen Imperial credits. Droid archaeologist Dr. Aphra gets to the Ante first and buys from him the location of Luke Skywalker. Darth Vader and Thanoth arrive just in time to discover that Aphra is the one who stole the mission's credits. They manage also to get the location of the Plasma Devils, which is a group of rebels, from the Ante before the information broker is killed. Aphra ends up escaping, but Darth Vader and Thanoth now have her cornered. However, Vader, cleverly, convinces Thanoth to forget about Aphra and go after the Plasma Devils. They go after the Plasma Devils, forgetting about Aphra, and Vader annihilates the rebel group. Vader finds Aphra and she reveals that Luke is on Verogas Vas. Vader takes his TIE fighter and heads out to get Luke. When he gets to the planet, he discovers that it's also home to a rebel base. After taking out 2 full squadrons of X-Wings on his own, Vader finds himself facing one last rebel pilot, his son. Luke, unaware that Vader is his father, crashes his X-Wing into Vader's TIE fighter, leaving them both alive, but they end up crash landing onto the planet, in different locations. The rebels, seeing their only chance to take down Darth Vader once and for all, have him surrounded on the planet. But it does not go well for the rebels, and Darth Vader destroys them. Meanwhile, Leia wants everything they've got thrown at Vader in hopes of killing him. Han asks what about finding Luke and seeing if he's alive, and Leia says Luke would understand. Han replies, he probably would. I thought you knew better. If you'll excuse me, Your Highness, some of us have friends to save. Aphra arrives on the planet to help Vader and sees Luke. Luke has discovered a Jedi temple, but feels cold there, making us believe there's some dark side of the Force here. He also sees Obi-Wan and who he believes is his father, but then the image goes away. Aphra ends up spray painting her droid to look like C-3PO, tricks Luke into thinking it is him, and manages to shock him, knocking him out. And that is where we're left with that series. Next, we got Kanan number 8 in November that takes place after the Republic has fallen, the Jedi Order is gone, and Emperor Palpatine firmly rules the galaxy with an iron fist. Rebels have banded together to fight back. Among them is a former Jedi Padawan, Caleb Dume, or Doom. I can't figure out whether we're supposed to pronounce his name with the French version or a different version, so I will just say Doom, who presently calls himself Kanan Jarrus. In his search for his ex-partner, Kanan is stabbed and falls unconscious, remembering his past as a Padawan. Kanan recalls Master Bilaba, who on her mission against General Grievous led a battalion that suffered 90% casualties. Worried she has damaged goods, Bilaba confides in Kanan her doubts about ever leading a command again. Their conversation comes to a screeching halt when an explosion rings through the Jedi Temple. In this issue, we actually get to see the opposing side, the Separatists. They are attacking the temple because they believe the Jedi have sided against liberty, against justice. This cannot go unpunished. They want to bring down the central spire of the Jedi Temple so that the Republic and Separatists alike will know that neither the Jedi Order nor the Republic are invincible, thus changing the course of the entire war. Meanwhile, Bilaba wants Caleb to stay put until they have more information. She expresses that she could easily become a liability out there. Kanan declares that they have enough information and heads to the top of the building to stop the bomber. Kanan gets in over his head, but Master Bilaba shows up and fights the bomber, revealing himself to be Rackham Seer, captain of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The bomber gets away and Bilibus says she's in desperate need of a Padawan in order to continue her journey. She asks Caleb, even though he's young, to become her Padawan. 3 weeks later, she has taken him to get his Kyber crystal for his new lightsaber, and now to Cardo for Caleb's first mission. He meets Captain Styles and Commander Gray, who he thinks will become great friends. This is the first time Caleb meets the men that will turn on him and kill his master while hunting him down. In present time, we see that Kanan is still in the tank and needs a few more weeks, or at least until he awakens, otherwise his health is in serious jeopardy. But the rebels are surrounded by Imperials. So that is what you missed for new Star Wars comic canon in November. We will go through new Star Wars canon week by week going forward, so the videos aren't so long. Stay tuned for my top 5 favorite canon additions for November. Besides that, come back for Game of Thrones videos, comic videos, and Walking Dead reviews.